morning to everyone, and welcome to the Energy Ministerial. Just to acknowledge your presence and also to thank the teams for the effort they've placed starting early this year, culminating now in this ministerial. So I want to say thank you very much to everyone who has been involved in this effort. I want to take the opportunity to invite the member of the Executive Council of the province of KwaZulu-Natal to extend a word of welcome to this beautiful province. The member of the Executive Council, MEC Sipho Muka, is the one who has been delegated by the Premier of the province to come and join us this morning and also to express words of welcome to delegates. So let me take the opportunity to invite MEC for Education in the province of KwaZulu-Natal to address us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and greetings to all Honorable Ministers, representatives from G20 member states, officials from international organizations, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to everyone. I think the Minister is correct that I'm representing the government of KwaZulu-Natal sent by the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal. And Minister, indeed it is a singular honor and a privilege for me on behalf of KwaZulu-Natal government and the people of our province to welcome you all to this important G20 energy meeting. We are deeply honored that our province has been chosen to host this gathering of global leaders, innovators, policymakers committed to shaping sustainable energy future. Minister, this meeting takes place at the defining moment in our collective history. Across the world, nations are grappling with the challenge of ensuring energy scrutiny, affordability, and sustainability, all while driving inclusive economic growth and responding to the urgent reality of climate change. Here in South Africa, in particular in KwaZulu-Natal province, we recognize that energy is a foundation upon which development is built. It powers our industries, fuel innovations, and connect communities. That is why our government in KwaZulu-Natal, under the leadership, and also in South Africa, under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa, has placed the energy transition at the center of our national development agenda. We must, Minister, appreciate your role and the intervention that you have played in South Africa in ensuring that there is proper energy in our province and in South Africa at large. Since the dawn of democracy, as government, we have put the issue of availability and affordability of energy at the center of our national agenda. We understand that affordable energy is a cornerstone of our fight against the triple threat of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. The sustainability of initiatives such as Youth Empowerment Program in KwaZulu-Natal and the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, which seek to equip youth with tools of build sustainable livelihood that depend on the availability of energy to ensure that we deliver the real opportunities for our youth. The KwaZulu-Natal is actively pursuing partnership opportunities for investing in renewable energy solutions such as solar, wind, and green hydrogen project. We're also strengthening partnership with private sector and international investors to ensure that this transition is just, inclusive, and job creating and empowering young people and women and rural communities. As KwaZulu-Natal, we stand ready to play its part, not only as a province rich in natural resources or industrial capacity, but also as a partner committed to innovation, green growth, and sharp prosperity. I wish all the delegates fruitful deliberations and memorable stay in our warm and vibrant province. May the spirit of engagement take place in this G20. Thank you very much, Siyabonga, Minister.
Special greetings to Troika members, Brazil and the United States of America. The Deputy Minister of Electricity and Energy, Ms. Samantha Graham Murray, distinguished G20 heads of delegations and negotiators, CEOs and chairpersons present, leaders of international organizations, traditional leaders present, esteemed guests, representatives of our local partners, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor that I welcome you to the city of eThekwini, Durban, in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, for the opening of this fourth Energy Transitions Ministerial meetings of G20 under South Africa's presidency, the first ever on the African continent. We are gathering at a city that is nestled between the warm Indian Ocean and the dramatic peaks of Drakensberg Mountains that stands as a gateway to KwaZulu-Natal's rich heritage. This is a land of resilience, cultural vibrancy, and natural splendor. It is therefore a fitting place for us to gather in this province, for here the past and future meet, where the enduring strength of tradition of resilience should inspire us to build pathways towards a sustainable and inclusive energy future. This is a land where history breathes. It is here that the echoes of the Battle of Isandlwana remind us of Africa's indomitable spirit, a spirit that refused to surrender even in the face of overwhelming odds. It is here, too, where the suffering of Nyawuza and countless others bears witness to the enduring struggle for dignity, justice, and self-determination. KwaZulu-Natal, therefore, stands as a living testament to the courage and resilience of a people who rose from hardship to hope. It is thus a fitting place for us to gather, for here the past and the future converge, and the strength of our shared heritage must continue to inspire us to build pathways towards a sustainable and inclusive energy future. Excellencies, our journey together for this Energy Transitions Working Group ministerial meeting in 2025 has been both remarkable and inspiring. It is a journey that began full of hope and promise, where our very first gathering in February laid a foundation and set the stage for robust dialogue, merging of common interest and alignment of our priorities in their different forms. During the course of the past few months, we were able to further strengthen our resolve taken in Cape Town, where our discussions deepened into practical pathways and we gathered strength when we met in Sun City, where passion, agency, and yes, at times, even our differences enriched the quality of our engagements and galvanized the tapestry of our deliberations. We are now here in Durban, as we stand at the point of conclusion, where the many threads of our journey are woven into a single fabric of outcomes that this president will proudly present to the world and entrust to the future G20 presidencies to carry forward. I wish to thank each one of you for the robust, candid, and constructive exchanges that have characterized this progress. Your contributions have sharpened our outcomes and given them legitimacy and durability. At the outset, South Africa's presidency, we identified 3 priorities that guided our collective efforts, namely, 1, energy security, affordability, reliability, and access. 2, just, affordable, and inclusive energy transitions. And lastly, African interconnectivity and regional energy pools. These priorities were not chosen lightly. They were born out of Africa's lived realities and aspirations, but also with a deep appreciation of global imperatives. I am encouraged that these priorities have resonated with all G20 members, even as we recognize varying prominences and country positions. We have had strong support to the centrality of energy security, access, and affordability. In the same way, we have had reservations and firm views on some of the phrases and formulations used in the text. All this in the common spirit to achieve the outcomes we will be tabling later today. This diversity of opinions was never meant to reflect divisions, but to emphasize the richness of perspectives across our membership. And the presidency has sought to navigate these differences in a spirit of balance and bridge building. The presidency reaffirms its unwavering commitment to energy security, reliability, affordability, and access. We know from our own experience that without these basic elements, the energy transition risks leaving people behind. We are equally committed to balanced energy transitions that respect the sovereignty of each country to determine its own energy mix and pathways. This means affirming the sovereign right of nations to deploy nuclear, carbon capture utilization and storage, natural gas, and the strategic use of mineral resources alongside solar, wind, hydrogen, energy efficiency, and most importantly, clean cooking, especially in the African continent. In Africa, clean cooking is not an option, but an imperative. In line with the Mission 300 initiative and the African Union's Agenda 2063, universal access to clean cooking solution must remain a global priority. To this end, our transitions must unfold at a pace and scale consistent with national needs and objectives, not as a uniform template imposed from one to the other. As we conclude our deliberations, we must underscore the importance of the 10 principles of energy transitions agreed during Brazil's presidency. These principles provide continuity and coherence for our collective effort. They remind us that transition must be just, inclusive, nationally determined, and globally coordinated. For Africa, the energy transition is not merely about reducing emissions, it is about transforming economies. We seek to decarbonize through deliberate industrialization, through expanded access, through the creation of dignified work, and through the construction of resilient value chains that secure our continent's prosperity for generations to come. In this vision, the 10-year African Infrastructure Investment Plan is not simply a blueprint for assets. It is a continental covenant for integration. It speaks to the power lines, transport corridors, pipelines, and digital arteries that will connect our nations, fuel our industries, and anchor a truly industrialized and interconnected Africa. We must ensure that Africa's energy transition becomes the engine of industrial development and economic diversification, a catalyst for transformation rather than mere compliance. Our ambition is clear: to move from being a continent that supplies raw materials to one that manufactures the final components of clean technologies and industrial solutions that will power the world. To achieve this, we require financing mechanisms that matches scale of our vision. We call for scaled-up concessional and blended finance, for instruments that de-risk private capital, and for long-term funding frameworks that enable industrialization, job creation, and energy system transformation across the developing world. Africa continues to shoulder an unfair risk premium, one that too often reflects perception rather than reality. The continent's projects are assessed through a lens of historic bias, not empirical performance. Yet, time and again, African institutions, utilities, and industries have demonstrated discipline, innovation, and resilience. It is time to recalibrate global risk assessment to reflect Africa's true investment potential and to ensure that capital flows are governed by facts, not fear, by opportunity, not outdated assumptions. As we gather here in Durban, we do so mindful of shared commitments to environmental stewardship and to the global process that shape our collective future. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement remain a central framework that is imperative to align ambition with action. It is worthy to remind us that the UNFCCC fundamental principle of common but differentiated responsibility, acknowledging that, I quote, while all countries share responsibility in addressing climate change, industrialized countries are historically major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions and therefore bear greater burden in combating this global issue, close quote. The energy transition ambition must not come at the cost of equity. Developing countries need space to grow, supported by political will to make available affordable finance, technology development, and capacity building so that transitions uplift rather than constrain. None of this can be achieved by governments alone. Partnership, knowledge exchange will remain indispensable. The role of private sector, academia, civil society is equally critical, and so too is the leadership of multilateral institutions and developed finance partners. Excellencies, may this gathering stand as a beacon of hope, as testament to strengthen our unity, compassion, and collective resolve. This moment should not be defined by contests of economic power or political will, but by our shared duty to the people we serve, individually and together. We must place at the forefront the real lived experiences of women and men, of young people and children, striving each day to make ends meet, trapped in cycles of poverty, and exposed to the persistent health challenges that weigh upon our communities. We cannot turn away from those who live on the margins of society, denied electricity, clean water, sanitation, and healthcare. Nor can we ignore the millions of children growing up in deprivation, deprived of education, of opportunity, and of the simple right to dream without limits. Their reality must be the heartbeat of our deliberation. This gathering is about them, their struggles, their hopes, their right to a dignified life. It calls upon us to chart a different path, one that values people above profits, compassion above competition, solidarity above self-interest. Let this be the moment we reimagine a world that is just, equitable, humane, a world where every person in every nation is given the chance not merely to survive, to trust. Excellencies and colleagues and friends, as we open this fourth ministerial meeting, we are reminded that our work here is both a conclusion and a beginning. It concludes a presidency that has sought to balance ambition with inclusivity, and it begins a new phase where future presidencies will carry forward this outcome as we chart a new G20-led revolution to reaffirm Africa's centrality in ensuring that we power our respective economies, and especially those of developing economies. South Africa stands proud to have steered this process, not for us alone, but for Africa, for the global South, and for the world. Let us ensure that Durban is remembered as a moment where we reaffirmed our shared commitment to secure, affordable, reliable, and accessible energy to balance just and sovereign energy transition, and to a future where industrialization and sustainability walk hand in hand. I thank you, colleagues. Thank you.
Good morning, Minister. Minister Silveira he asked me to bring a warm welcome from Brazil. We are 1 month away from COP30, so he had to stay home and make sure everything is ready. But it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you, Minister Ramakopa, Deputy Minister Graham Mahe, for the opportunity to be here today and for the always warm welcome from the South African people. For Brazil, it's always a pleasure to be here, and it's been our honor to follow your leadership throughout these discussions, and it's been great to see how well you took this opportunity to bring forward the South Africans and the South Africa's continent's priorities. We welcome your leadership, and it's very, very refreshing to see the topic of energy transitions being discussed from your perspective. Brazil has greatly enjoyed this opportunity. We were as supportive as we could to your priorities, and we really, really commend you on the very, very well done job. We also would like to thank you to have continuing discussing topics that Brazil brought forward last year, especially just in inclusive energy transitions, the need to scale up and reduce costs for investments and financing for energy transitions. And we also welcome the opportunity to have continued to explore the very important topics of energy security, sustainable industrialization, interconnectivity, and energy affordability. These are paramount topics when we talk about energy transition. For Brazil, the energy transition is not only a moral imperative, it is an opportunity that should be seized to improve people's lives, and it was very clear throughout our discussions in this energy group that this is a topic that should be explored further. Meeting growing energy demand with clean and renewable energy sources means that we can create sustainable development. In these days, it seems like we need to remind ourselves of this concept. By sustainable development, we mean an approach to human growth and resource use that meets present needs without compromising the future's ability to meet their own needs, balancing economic progress, social equity, and environmental protection. By combining our natural endowments with consistent energy planning and focused and innovative policies, I'm proud to say that Brazil has reached 50% of renewables in its diverse energy matrix and almost 90% of renewables in the power sector. Our challenge for the coming years, and this is a big challenge, is to maintain the same levels of renewable energy while meeting a growing energy demand. Recently, we have been making additional efforts to achieve universal energy access. With the Light for All program, we have brought dignity, citizenship, and opportunities for families who lived for decades without electricity. The Light for All program has transformed the lives of 17.5 million Brazilians, bringing energy, hope, and development to every corner of the country. We will continue to advance, ensuring access to energy in all rural areas and isolated communities of the Amazon by 2028. In a pioneer initiative, the federal government also launched the Sustainable Community Kitchen Project, which combines food security and clean energy. The initiative combines biodigesters and solar panels in community kitchens across several cities in the country. Biodigesters convert organic waste into biogas for cooking and into natural fertilizer, while solar energy powers ovens and equipment, reducing costs and promoting health, sustainable, and dignified nutrition. Equally relevant to us is the development of public policy to democratize access to clean cooking. Gas of the People program guarantees cooking gas benefits to 15.5 million families, while the Gas to Employ program fosters sustainability in industry, generating jobs, income, and competitiveness based on healthier, low-emission energy. These are just a few examples of how Brazil is placing people in the center of domestic energy policies. Dear colleagues, Brazil values the opportunity to be in this room today and will continue to engage in this debate in support of promoting energy security, achieving universal energy access, and pursuing the goal to advance a clean, sustainable, affordable, and inclusive energy transition worldwide. And thankfully, we are not alone. A few weeks ago, President Lula, along with President Ramaphosa, President von der Leyen, and around 20 world leaders, several of them represented by ministers of energy today, signed a public letter in support of financing for clean and renewable energy, especially in developing countries. Without commitment to bring everyone on board and create opportunities for all, the energy transition will not be just or equitable. This public commitment is based on three things. The first is the recognition that the energy transition is advancing rapidly and is inexorable. Last year alone, global spending in energy was $2 trillion, with $1 spent in clean energy for every $2 spent in fossil fuels. In the power sector, investment in clean technologies outpaced investment in fossil fuels by a factor of 10 to 1. The second is that clean energy is the way for a better future, a future with more energy security, more independence, more energy access, more prosperity, and that contributes to mitigating the already devastating effects of climate change. The third is that advancing clean energy depends on cooperation. Moving forward with the energy transition in an equitable and just way, which in other words means creating opportunities for all, depends on cooperation. Cooperation to make available affordable and concessional financing, share expertise, cooperation to support with financing and technical capabilities to create shared prosperity. Brazil is a G20 member country and therefore part of the group that unites the greatest producers and consumers of energy in the world, does not take a responsibility to discuss energy transitions lightly. On the contrary, we are here today to exercise this responsibility by showing the world that we are committed not only to our own present prosperity, but also to a common future. Nowhere is this call to act in support of the future more relevant than in the energy sector. As we know, this is where the largest share of emissions comes from. Hence, the need to accelerate, not question, energy transitions as a top priority. Brazil thanks again the warm hospitality of the South African people and is committed, as always, to support South Africa's priorities for this energy transitions working group. Thank you, Minister.
For convening the G20 energy ministers here today. Since February, your team has been hard at work with us and our former host, Brazil, and all other colleagues around the table, making sure that this G20, this first G20 on the continent of Africa, would be a valuable experience for the world, and it has certainly been so. Dear colleagues, it has been and is a real privilege to address you today as the Acting Assistant Secretary for International Affairs at the U.S. Department of Energy. as we discuss critical issues facing our global community. The nexus of energy, security, and development demands our urgent, focused attention. First, let me be clear. Energy security is non-negotiable. It's the steel and concrete of everything good: economic prosperity, stable societies, and national sovereignty. You can't have a strong country and a prosperous country if you don't have affordable and reliable energy. You can't power factories, you can't heat your homes and move your goods. It just doesn't work. We've seen what happens when energy markets are weak and when they're fragile. The disruptions we've seen over the past few years affect everybody. Energy security isn't just about making sure the supply chains hold. It's about the fundamental well-being of every nation and of every person. Energy security is an imperative that cannot, will not be compromised. Second, we have a moral imperative to support one another's economic development. Frankly, it's unconscionable that billions of people around the world still don't have access to energy. This lack of energy traps people in poverty. It stops education. It limits opportunity. All of us have the responsibility to ensure that all nations, especially the developing ones, have the resources, the partnerships, and the financial opportunities they need to reach their energy and economic potential. My third point, and one that the Trump administration feels most strongly about, is the obsessive focus, the singular focus of bodies like the G20 on climate change. Climate change is a distraction. It's distracting us from true energy security and from real economic development. The relentless push for climate action has led to policies that jeopardize energy availability and affordability, especially in the global south. Developing countries need more energy, not less of it. And they need affordable energy because they haven't had the benefit of decades of development unburdened by the nonsense of the climate lobby. G20 members deliberate discard of science and data, including particularly data from the International Panel on Climate Change, and the focus only on climate and on energy transitions, ignores the terrible consequences of energy poverty. It ignores the critical need for reliable power to lift people out of destitution. People that are near this building and friends and relatives of people in this room are experiencing this today. We need a balanced approach to energy development that brings all objectives together instead of sacrificing one for all of the others. It's just common sense. I want to thank the South African presidency for focusing the G20 on developing more energy that is affordable, reliable, and is secure. The U.S. supports these efforts to expand energy access and alleviate from energy poverty. As we go into the ministerial, we need to focus on what matters, ensuring energy security for everybody. And this means concrete action on the following topics. Permitting reform. We have to cut the red tape. We have to streamline. We have to accelerate permitting processes for all energy infrastructure, from the traditional sources that built the world to the innovative new technologies. Bureaucratic delays that exist within all of our governments are ridiculous. They stop progress and they constrain us. Clean cooking solutions. Addressing the global crisis of clean cooking is a fundamental step toward both public health and environmental sustainability. Millions still rely on harmful traditional biomass, and we must deploy scalable, affordable, and clean cooking technologies. Not forgetting the statistics that 3.6 million, up to 3.6 million people die every year from a lack of clean cooking. Energy financing. We must unlock and direct robust financing towards reliable, affordable energy. These projects in developing nations recognizing that their energy needs encompass a broad spectrum of solutions, not just those aligned with the climate agendas. Traceable critical minerals, securing and diversifying supply chains for critical minerals with clear traceability and sustainable practices is paramount for energy technologies of today and tomorrow. Listen, our shared future depends on us being intelligent, being realistic, and truly understanding those in need. Let's work together to make sure our energy systems are more secure, to bolster our economies, and to build a world that is powerful and enduring for generations to come. And again, I want to thank you. I want to thank your staff, and especially the Working Group Chair, Director General Subhesh Pillai, for the extremely hard work that you guys have put into making this to be a successful G20. You've certainly changed the dialogue and turned the page for all of us. Thank you.